The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Welcome to the set of The Gloves Are Off. It's been a long time. Hopefully we all remember how to do this. And look who's back. It's a new year and our first show back. Co-host Brian Curran is back in his official co-hosting position.
Oh, and it's so good to be back. And, you know, it's good to see you're smiling. I don't know, I was going to add another. Agitating me today.
Agitating?
Face. Yes, but it's just a pleasurable smile.
Okay.
You know, we'll leave it at that. But you are agitating me. So this will be a good show, everyone.
All right, good show. And to participate in the good show and potentially be caught in the crossfire is Kyle Mulligan. Kyle, you are the first return guest to the set.
You know, it's an honor to be the first person back. And the first time I was here, I stumbled, I fumbled.
Did you?
I was worried, I was nervous.
No.
But you know what? I got up early, went for a run. I'm ready to go.
Wow, went for a run. Okay, well, let's get started then. We're going to talk puck first. Brian, I know you ran this morning, right?
Right to my office.
Yeah, right to his office. Okay, well, you were in the office for a very important reason early. Across the Canadian Junior Hockey League, deadline day. Obviously, last night was the last chance to make some roster moves. I want to start close to home with you, Brian. What was this process like for you?
Well, it's the most emotional time for players and coaches. I mean, tough decisions have to be made. We didn't have a lot of, we had one tough one with Andrew Hamilton. We had to let go because of injuries we ran into with our two young 18-year-old players. And there's such a long process, we don't have enough time to talk about it. But the reality was we had to let one go. That's very difficult. But we added, a defenseman and we added another forward. We could have got one more. I was really searching for a centerman last night. But for the players sitting at home, the last thing they want to hear is the phone ring.
Exactly.
So it's a very trying time for them, and for me, it's exhausting.
Well, also, there were some major blockbuster deals across Canadian junior hockey. I mean, let's talk about Shen, Eakin. I mean, these were incredible deals, obviously coming off the World Juniors. But, I mean, Kyle, I know you and I had talked about it yesterday. Mm-hmm. What was the biggest shocker maybe for you?
I think the biggest shocker for me is how many players went the other way.
Yeah.
For Saskatoon to get Braden Shen, yeah, they're showing they want to make a run, which is great for their hockey organization. But what does it say to your prospects? You're giving up 4 or 5 draft picks. For me, being a Bantam coach, that worries me a little bit that they don't take the draft very seriously.
Yeah.
They gave up 2 first-round draft picks for the next 2 years. But, good for Saskatoon. They're going to make a run. And
maybe this will be their year.
Yeah, but it's a real catch. But it's a really tough situation because you got to look ahead and go, Kyle's got it right. I mean, the prospect players, that's tough. But, you've got, isn't Shen a Saskatoon kid too?
Yeah, he's back at home now.
So he's back home.
Right.
Your revenue is going to jump incredible.
Exactly.
They have a legitimate chance to win the Memorial Cup. You have to take that gamble at some point, and they feel that this is it. What bothers me is they really sold the farm for the next 2 years.
Oh, sure
But
did.
that being said, even though all the analysts right now say the draft the next couple of years is not going to be that good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but, they give away a lot. But we'll see if it pays off.
Well, I want to keep talking about some junior hockey. We got to move on to the next one here. Epic fail. Biggest collapse probably in World Junior Hockey. I can't believe it's already almost been a week, but we have to talk about this because I have you both on set. We're still asking the same question all across the country. What happened? What happened? Collapse? Fail? I mean, something. Anything.
Well, first of all, I think you consider, first of all, Canada had 15 number 1 draft picks in their lineup. I'm proud of them in the sense that they weren't a team, I don't believe, that was really...
All right, blue collar, we've heard it all.
Yeah, but not
happened?
To win it. But in the game itself, I think you saw the game change at the second half about the 10-minute mark of the second period.
Okay.
Started seeing Russia taking it to them a little bit more. I think they absolutely started getting nervous. They started thinking too much.
Okay.
They weren't reacting anymore. The pressure got to them, and then bang, as we know, we were up 3-1 in a game, and they came back and scored 5 goals on us. Yeah. So I kind of know how it happens. You get down. You get nervous.
Okay, but then here's my question. Would you have called the timeout sooner? Because that's now the question that everyone keeps asking.
I would have. I would have called it.
You would have called it? Brian, when would you have called it?
You know what? I would have called, I would have called it depending, like I wasn't watching it because we were playing, but I would have called it when he did. I don't know what he said. I don't know what the second goal was like. Was it a bad goal?
No, it was so quick. 2 goals so fast.
But what was the first one like? Was it a good goal? If it was a real strong.
Neither goal were good.
All right. So if it's a bad goal, for me, I want to call a timeout.
All right.
All right. So, but the second one, but it's what he said. I mean, I don't know what he said to him.
I know,
but
we
it
might never know.
It never, because he's a hell of a coach.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? It's youth.
All right. Well, we have to move on. We're going to go on to Miss 6 because this was a suspension, which I don't know. I didn't think there was anything wrong with this, but you hear there's two sides of it. Babcock says, one thing, and then you've got Kostopoulos saying that. Who do you side with? Was this appropriate? Was it too much? Was it not enough?
To me, I think it's too much. Yes, he clipped him. There's no question that he ran the pick play. But, is it worth 6 games? When Matt Cook last year gets nothing in the playoffs? I don't know. I think it's
well, I think it's really imperative when you look at that. I think 6 is a little heavy, but I think the suspension is definitely warranted because of where he went. I mean, this guy, the puck wasn't anywhere near him, and where the shot was. I mean, I think Colin Campbell called it properly. He went right at his head. Now, for Kostopoulos to say he didn't go at his head,
come on, buddy,
it's on tape.
Yeah,
yeah, he went at his head. Did he intentionally try to? No, he didn't try to hurt him. I think I believe that. But you know what? He hit him up high.
Yes.
They got to set something. I think the coach in Detroit was right. I think it should have been a 3-game suspension. Okay.
All right. So maybe not as long, but there should have been a suspension. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about Sid the Kid because this concerns me.
Why does it concern you?
Because, well, maybe I'm being a bit of a softie here, but if you watch the game, against Washington, how did he not get a concussion? How did he not get a concussion from that hit? So, from my point of view, he was hurt from the get-go. Why this came out and why he played the next game, I don't really know. But I'm not really buying the situation that, there was no cause for concern. I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Well, from a perspective from my side, I think it's who you're talking about, Sidney Crosby. The hit, first of all, was brutal.
Against Washington.
Against Washington.
Okay.
That was bad. But it's him himself that recognizes whether he can play or not, and he's a captain of the team. And
do you think he felt pressure?
No, because they will not ever hurt Sidney Crosby.
Okay.
They never will.
So why wouldn't you just take a breather?
Because Sidney said he could play.
Yep, exactly. And he's the best player in the world. He's the best player on your team. If he says he can go, who's to say he can't go? There's no doctor in the world isn't going to say, go ahead.
Oh,
there's a lot of, you know what though, you got to be careful, Carly, because there's a lot of pampering going on. The concussion since it's come in has been one of, which nobody ever addresses, has been one of the biggest scapegoats for players that may get sent to the minors.
Yep.
Do you ever think of that? Like all of a sudden I'm a fringe player. I get called up from the American League. I know I'm going to go down. I've been up for a week. All of a sudden I get a hit close to the head. Oh, I got a concussion.
Right.
Now there's the legitimate ones. 90% of them are, but there's 10% the guys pulling shoots. Okay. We call it.
All right. Well, we have to pull the shoot because we have to take a commercial break. But stay tuned because we got a whole lot more dump and change to come. We're going to get into a little gridiron. You're not going to want to miss it.
Sounds good.